Okay. So we looked at a canonical ensemble description and we also solved the two-level system. So in today's class, we'll kind of derive the ideal gas equation. But before that, we want to address some very important concept called the Gibbs paradox and also look at indistinguishability, etc. So slowly we will move from a discrete description to a continuous description. So that is the idea, and we will do it, right? So if you look at two-level systems or any other problems you have solved, basically you are the energy states are discrete, right? So the partition functions you write are discrete. So here what we'll do is we'll see how to write a continuous partition function, right, for a continuous variable, and in when your microstates are continuous, for example, in terms of your momentum and in terms of your, okay. So for this, let's consider a system, okay. So another concept which we have learned is if I have a n particle system and if all n particles are IIDs in the, they are independently distributed, right? So they are identical and independently distributed. So then I know if I just find the partition function of one molecule, let's say, then the partition function of the entire molecule, entire system can be written as just C1 to the power n. Okay. This is assuming what are the assumptions that the particles they don't interact with each other. The presence of the another particle does not alter the distribution of the probability distribution of particle one, and all particles have the same distribution. Okay. So let me just, so the particles don't interact. This itself, what it implies is the probability distribution is not changed. Distribution of, let's say, particle 1 or any particle I is not changed due to the presence of other particles. So these assumptions, even though they look very uh, basic, but they are extremely important. So only then you can, and all particles have the same distribution. Slash atoms, that's what you're modeling, have the same distribution. Okay. So let's now look at, if I want to describe, let's say, an ideal gas. What is an ideal gas? An ideal gas is made of particles. So let's assume I have n atoms of ideal gas. And the system is kept in a, let's say, a rigid container. And this is in touch with the, in contact with the environment. So it's a constant temperature. And since let's assume the lid of the container is closed, so it's the constant number also. Right? So I have a NVT system. Remember this, okay? So I have a NVT system, and in this system I have n molecules, and these are, since I've said these are ideal, behave like ideal gas. What is the assumption there? That means they don't interact. There's no interaction. So I want to calculate the partition function of these system. right? So I want to calculate the partition function of this system, and there's system of n molecules, etc. But since these molecules are ideally IIDs, if I just calculate the partition function of one molecule, then I just raise it to the power n or multiply it n times. That should give me the partition function of the entire system. So to do that, what we'll do is, only this is the only place in the course, or at least as far as I know, we will invoke some quantum mechanics. I'll just take a single particle in a box. Okay, I have a single particle in a box. So this is a very simple problem in quantum mechanics. This is actually the first problem you solve in quantum mechanics, and you use basically, so this is the Schrodinger equation. Actually, this H is nothing but the Hamiltonian operator. Okay, Hamiltonian operator contains both potential energy and kinetic energy. This is the will do. This psi is nothing but the wave function, and this is like a matrix. H is the operator, psi. E is the energy, which is the eigenvalue when you solve this. So this E gives you the energy levels, possible energy levels. So when I have this particular particle in a box, okay, let's assume the box has value, the edge of the box, it's a cubic box, has a edge A. Okay. So now when I solve this equation, so I have not written, so this is a, let's assume it's a cubic box. Okay. I have a particle in a cubic box. Now quantum, if I solve this using quantum mechanics, I'll get an equation which is nothing but, these are the possible states of energy levels. Basically, when you solve these equations, you're actually solving what are the eigenvalues. And this is the possible eigenvalues are, this is the epsilon nx and nx, ny, nz are the, you can think of these are the possible values of energies x. These are integers, and the energy is given by h square eight ma square times nx square plus ny square plus nz square. Okay, this is the only point where you use a quantum mechanics. Why are we even using this is, you can imagine if I have a system, right, and I'm looking at a system which is pretty small, and where, or even the space in which these molecules are at is a very small space. So if I have to describe what is happening, let's say in a room, so there the molecules, the volume of your of the room or volume of the ensemble you consider, it's much big compared to the mean free path of the molecules. But if I have to describe the system where the system size is also very small, so there your quantum mechanic effects will come through. So to account for that, we are using this. So remember, what is the beauty of quantum mechanics is, in the limit as the size becomes larger, it approaches classical mechanics, whereas it's not true for classical mechanics. So classical mechanics will remain class. So this is your Newtonian realm, right? So in the quantum mechanics, you can solve in the limit as your system size increases, or your resolution decreases, then your classical mechanics equation comes back, whereas it's not the other way around. Okay, so using this, now given that this is my energy levels, what is the partition function now for just one particle? This is a canonical system, so what would be the partition function? Can anybody kind of tell me? Yeah, I'm waiting for you guys to tell.
E raised to beta epsilon.
Summation omega.
Yeah, so it's summation of all epsilons, right? And e to the power. So this would be my partition function. So I know partition function is nothing but sigma over all possible states e to the power minus beta epsilon. Okay, this is just a single molecule. You don't have to worry about omega. Here, what controls omega? This epsilon. The energy is controlled by what value of n you are at. So I can say sigma over all possible values of n e raised to the power beta epsilon of nx, ny, nz, and that is nothing but sigma nx, ny, nz. This goes from e to the power minus beta. I'll just substitute for epsilon, which is h square by 8 8ma square times nx square plus ny square plus nz square. Okay. Now, if you look at this summation, nx, ny, and nz are independent, right? So, what will happen when nx is 0 or 1? What happens when nx is 0? So, or ny and nz are 0. So, this all nx, ny, nz are independent, right? So, I can write this as sigma nx e to the power minus beta h square 8ma square nx square, then over ny e to the power minus beta h square ny square, and some more nz e to the power minus beta h square nz square by 8 ma square. Okay. So nx, ny, nz are independent. So I can just write them this way. Okay. So again here, if you look at this is nothing but an equation where I have said integral, let's say in terms of, so you have three different variables dx, dy. So it's like this: dx, dy, dz. For example, if this is the case, and if it's a cube, what do we say? Which is nothing but it's also same as dx whole cubed, right? Because all these expressions are the same expressions. It's just that uh, the functions or the variables which are going are changed. So this is same as if I say sigma ri whole square. I can write that as sigma ri sigma rj. Okay. So just to have this dot product, etc., we come up, we write this. So here it's the same thing. So this that therefore can be approximated as, and again for n equals 0, all this equation becomes 1. Remember that nx equals 0, this becomes 1. Ny equals 0, this becomes 1. Nz equals 0, this becomes 1. So the limit, you can even say it goes from 1 to infinity. Okay. So now I can write this as, and all the nx, ny, nz, I'll just change it to n by okay. So this is the equation I get. So there's some confusion with, is it? Yeah, that's fine. It's correct. Okay. So this is the equation I get for the partition functions. Everybody following this? Okay. So now I'll just see. So this is in a discrete limit. Remember, this is in a discrete limit I'm writing. Now, if I calculate what is the difference between these energy levels, which is, I'll just calculate what is the value for n plus 1 square minus for the n square. So this tells me what is the difference between two energy levels. So this gives me beta h square by 8ma square times 2n plus 1. Okay. Now, if you substitute all the values, beta is your Boltz 1 by kBt, and your mass can be mass of the order of 10 power minus 22 gram or 10 power minus 25 kg. A is, maybe I can say, is even if you assume A to be very large, for example, even if I assume A to be 10 centimeter, which is macroscopic, right? Even in that limit, this value is nothing but 2n plus 1 times 10 power minus 20. So basically the energy levels almost overlap, or their energy levels are energy level separation is very less than 1. So basically these energy levels you can think of from going from a discrete limit, you can even go to a continuous limit. Okay, so if I go to a continuous limit, now I know how to evaluate this, right? So Q was n equals 1 to infinity or 0 to infinity, doesn't matter, minus beta h square by 8ma square n square whole cubed. So this becomes integral 0 to infinity e to the power minus beta h square by 8ma square, there is n square dn. Okay, so since my energy level separation is very less, so I'm going from a discrete limit to continuous limit. So remember, what is this? I know this is a Gaussian, and if a Gaussian goes from, I think we had this, right, e to the power minus alpha x square dx is pi by alpha. So here it's going from 0 to infinity. So this will be something like, if it goes from 0 to infinity, e to the power minus alpha x square dx is 1/2 of pi by alpha. Now, if you look at this, comparing these, what is alpha here? Alpha is,
So what about the power 3?
yes, there is a power 3. Yes, that's correct. So I have the power 3. Okay. So if I look at this, compare this, my alpha is nothing but beta h square divided by 8m a square. Okay, this is my alpha. Okay, so this expression I should have 1/2 of square root of pi by alpha. Alpha is beta h square divided by 8. Hold on. This becomes beta h square. Now whatever is in the denominator will go to the numerator. This becomes 8m a square. Okay. Okay. Now if I just simplify this, 8 is nothing but 2 root 2 So I get 2 pi m. Let me just. So this becomes, I have a 2 in the denominator, and beta is 1 over kt. So if this goes up, it gets 2 pi m k t. Then I have h square in the denominator. Did I miss something? And there is a square. Okay. So I have 2 pi m kt. I think this is correct. So now if on further simplification, what do I get? So the 2 gets cancelled. Okay. Now I have square root of 2 pi m kt by h square times a. Okay, this is the integral of just one. I've done it just once. So now, but my integral has 3, right? So I need to increase it, raise it to the power 3. So my final answer would be q is nothing but 2 pi m kt h square to the power 3 by 2. So the square root is 1 by 2. And here I have a, this becomes a cubed. Now what is this? This can again be further simplified as a cube is nothing but the volume v by, we call this some, so this is the one which is bringing in the quantum mechanic aspects. So I'll just say triangle cubed, and what is that value of that is nothing but h square by 2 pi m kt to the power half. Okay, so this gives me the partition function of one particle in a system where molecules are non-interacting, and I've also included the quantum mechanic aspects. Since I have done this derivation before also in class, I'll move ahead now for n particle system, which is what we want. So I want what is q of, that is nothing but q to the power n. So this becomes v power n divided by omega v power n. Okay. So this is what we get from solving this. Now, since I know my, once I have this canonical partition function, what can I do next? So I've written q here. Q, you can, when there is also a convention where we solved yesterday, we write this as z. Okay. The,
Sir,
yeah.
sir, we have kept h square in the triangle part. So can't we take it out?
No, this has some significance. So that is the reason. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. This term h square by 2 pi m kt has some significance. Okay. So if you want, yeah, this is nothing but saying h by 2 pi. So I just want everything within this square root. So that's the reason why I have kept it. Okay. Yeah. So now, once I get the canonical partition function, so what do I have here? So I have F. How do I calculate my Helmholtz free energy? Is my nothing but kT log Q, and S is nothing but minus partial dF by dt at constant x. So that becomes k log Q plus kt d log Q by dt at constant x. Okay, so I just differentiated this with respect to t. So minus first will become k log q, next is kt log this. So if I substitute this, I just have to, I know what is q. Q is v to the power n omega 3 to the power n. So the first, if I substitute this, remember v is of course not a function of t, but this triangle, what we have written here in the denominator, that is a function of t. Always remember that. Okay. So if you solve this, I'll just write the final equation. What do I get is S is k times n log v by, so this is the equation for entropy I get. So I'll again post an assignment here. So you need to show how I went from this to, so this will be part of an assignment. Okay. I think it's 4. I don't remember. Okay. So once I have this, now we have the expression for entropy, and then let's look at a system. So let's assume that alpha and beta are two states within a system, meaning to say I have an ideal gas, but they are partitioned. One region is alpha, other region is beta. For now, let's also assume this, the volumes are same in both the cases, and the number of particles, let's say here is n, here is n. Okay. Now let's assume, now I remove this partition, right? So now I am looking at the total volume 2v and total volume of 2n. Okay. And I want to just calculate what is the entropy, right? So initially, what would be the entropy of S alpha? I'll just substitute this in the equation here. It will be K. N alpha, let's assume for now, is equal to n. N alpha is equal to n beta equals n times ln v by v alpha. Again, v alpha equals v beta equals v. We'll also make that this just so that this calculation becomes easy, plus 3 halves. S beta would be kn, again the same value, ln v plus 3 halves. But if you look at this system alpha beta, what would be that? So S alpha beta would be k, n will be 2n, so I'm writing that, ln v will be 2v by sigma cubed plus 3 by 2. Okay, is everybody following this, or did I make a mistake? So if I have taken 2 outside here, let me see, I think there is some. So what is the total entropy if I say S alpha plus S beta? So if I add that, Kn, the same equation, right? So it just becomes twice. 2Kn okay. So this is the total entropy of the system. Is everybody following this? Now if I just add S alpha beta, so I have 2Kn, but I have ln 2v cube plus 3 by 2. Okay, so which is greater? This is 1. Let me call this as 2. So now which is greater? So any,
S alpha beta.
sorry? Yeah, S alpha beta looks greater, right? So this equation is telling me S alpha beta is greater than S alpha plus S beta. But does this make sense? From the physical aspect, of course, this partition is a very imaginary partition, right? So it's a very thin. So if I assume that this partition didn't exist or it's very thin, but if you look at system A, which is S alpha, S beta, and then you look at it's these are gas molecules, and if you look at S alpha beta, there should not both the systems will look the same, right? So where is this increase in entropy coming? Right, so you can imagine, you can think that, oh, maybe a molecule here now also can explore the phase space, which the alpha molecule can also explore the volume in the beta phase, right? So beta volume, so maybe, oh, entropy may be coming from there. But if you look at both the systems, look, think of it from a macroscopic perspective. You have this system and you have another system where one is S alpha and S beta, the other is S alpha beta. But if you look at both the system, the entropy is, you cannot even differentiate between these two systems, right? Can you differentiate? So you cannot differentiate at all. Both systems look the same. So where is this increase in entropy coming from? So this increase in entropy is just an artifact. Okay, why it's an artifact? Because when we took, and another question I would ask is, let's assume that all the molecules are distinguishable, meaning to say if there are n molecules, let's assume that all the molecules have been color coded with n different shades of all molecules are of different colors. Now when you have this system, initially this S alpha molecules are here and some molecules are here, and now when you mix, this is S alpha beta. Now would there be an increase in entropy if all n molecules are color coded, so you can distinguish? So then can you explain what is the where is this increase in entropy coming from? Can anybody explain? Yeah.
Yes, uh, if we will see the color-coded molecules, then they are randomly disordered in the second system. So we can say that entropy will increase.
Okay.
Because we can see the disorderness of them.
Yeah. So again, I'm requesting all of you, after taking this course or while taking this course, you move away from thinking of randomness, disorder, to I can show systems which are more ordered and also have more entropy. Okay, so you should think in terms of the states, number of possible states. You should always think in terms of omega. Okay, so if I look at system, if all molecules are color coded, if I compare S alpha beta and a composite system S alpha beta, of course the number of ways omega of alpha beta will be greater than omega alpha times omega beta. Okay, so omega alpha beta is would be greater, and this is the reason this is called the mixing entropy. So the mixing entropy is always positive. Okay, sorry, the mixing entropy is always positive. Okay, so remember from your thermodynamics, where you say your chemical potential mu I is some mu I naught plus RT ln X, and this we say this is for ideal solutions, right? So this, where is this? Say, I know RT ln X is always what, positive or negative? What is this term? Is it positive or
Negative.
negative? It's always negative. So whenever you mix two substances, the chemical potential always goes down compared to your pure substance. This is only for ideal solutions, okay? If the chemical potential goes down, that means the free energy goes down. If the free energy goes down, system is more stable. And the contribution here, and since ideal solution case, you don't have any interactions between the molecules. Or what is the assumption that if I am mixing A and B, the interaction between AA is equal to interaction between BB is interaction between AB. This is the basis for ideal solutions. So when you mix these, there is no change in enthalpy or there is no change in delta U. What is there is only change in entropy. So since the entropy change is positive, free energy goes down. Okay. This is the reason. Okay, so if I mix two things, there are more number of ways in which the system can be arranged. So come out of this randomness, disorder. So this is all, it's okay until you have not taken the course. So,
Sir?
yeah.
Sir, we said that our system, alpha and beta with the separation wall and alpha and beta combined are not distinguishable. But sir, they are distinguishable because we know that there is a separation wall in between and the other system is a composite one.
No, no, no. What I'm saying is, so right now what I'm talking is for distinguishable, like these color coded. The previous case, you don't know the wall, right? So the wall is just an imaginary partition line. Think of it as a imaginary partition. You don't know. The molecules know, but you don't know. You look at a system, right? You have no idea where the wall is. The molecules know that
Okay, so
but when you look at both systems will look the same because they are made up of identical molecules.
okay.
Whereas if they are color coded, now you will definitely know that, oh, in this system, in system alpha beta, there is more mixing because molecules from alpha are also able to traverse to the molecule, the volume of beta. So you will realize that, oh, there is more mixing here. Where in the first case, you will not know there is mixing at all. So for example, what I'm saying is, let's assume that you have poured one section is water, alpha is water, for example, and beta is a ink, some dye you have put in water. Now assume the case where, so here you can distinguish, right? So since I can distinguish, what will happen when you look at boxes, you'll realize that in alpha beta, the ink will always remain on the left side and water, pure clean water, will be in the right side. But in the alpha beta, you will see there is mixing happening, correct? So you will realize that, oh, this is where there is mixing happening. So because of mixing, the entropy increases, right? Definitely, which has more states? Let's say this is ink, this is clear water, this is
So sir, this
ink.
distinguishable part is just for our looking at the system.
No, this is a very important phenomenon, not just for our looking at the system. If so, think of the system. This is alpha beta. This is alpha beta. Which system has more entropy? The alpha beta system. And this partition is imaginary, meaning to say it is there from the molecular perspective, but you don't see that partition. So what you will see here is nothing but, you will see something like I have a box. There are two halves where ink is on one side, water is on the other side. Whereas here, the whole system, you have ink, water. Which system has more entropy? Alpha, beta, or alpha and
Second
beta?
one. No,
Second one,
second
right?
one.
There are more states. So definitely here you can say. But now let me look at a system where I have ink plus water here. And again, ink plus water here, same ink and same color. That constraint still exists. Okay, meaning to say the ink molecules cannot move from here to here. And here I have ink plus water, the entire system. Remember, this is 2V, 2N, and this is the alpha beta system. This is VN, VN. This is alpha. This is Now, when you look at these two systems, will you be able to spot any difference?
No.
Right? They look the same. So
Hmm.
now in this case, but even for this case, if your mathematics is telling you S alpha beta is greater than S alpha plus S beta, that is incorrect, right? Because
Hmm.
everything you should go by what you observe. So there is no change in entropy, it's the same system. And why we got a wrong answer is because when we calculated the canonical partition function for the n molecules, we said q is q to the power n, but we didn't account for the fact that these molecules are indistinguishable, meaning to say they are identical. If they are identical, remember we always divide by n factorial. Okay, so now if you solve the equation now, saying f is minus kt log q, s is minus df by dt at constant x. So what you will get is you'll get a similar expression for s, but now you will have something where you'll have something like minus, so f, your f would be minus kt n ln ve by, so this ve is nothing but what I've done is ln e is 1, right? So I've just also brought that e here. So this is what your free energy would look like. The major difference is this term. So this ln, if you look at ln, so previously we had this, right? Ln v by omega, or this triangle cubed. When you solve this, you'll realize you'll have ln v by, there is a n term which comes here. Now this will take care of the size effect. If v becomes 2v, n is also 2n, right? So it will get cancelled. Okay. So this satisfies the, so again, I'll give an assignment on this. I'll post. So you'll be able to solve and do this. Okay. So what is my u now? F is kt log z. So I have my z is nothing but, or q in this case, what I can do, n ln ve by omega cube n. So this is my q, right? If you look at the compare, f is minus kt log z. So hold on. So sorry, one second. So this is my z. Okay. Z.
So, sir, our conclusion that entropy is greater was correct or not?
Your conclusion entropy is greater is incorrect for that system because the molecules are identical. So your conclusion for this ink water system is incorrect, right? Because there is no change in entropy. But your conclusion will be right for this system where the molecules are distinguishable. So if the molecules are indistinguishable, meaning to say they are identical and you cannot distinguish, that's where you modified the earlier expression. Earlier it was what? Earlier it was q, I wrote q as just q to the power n. This is where non-identical. If the molecules are non-identical, this is correct. But if the molecules becomes identical, then this is for that system. Okay. And in statistical mechanics, we use this term indistinguishable. Indistinguishable means you cannot distinguish. That means they are identical. Okay. So you have this equation. Now, if you look at this, f will be this, and your u, your q, if I just look at this, your partition function is nothing but this ln ve this triangle cube n to the power n. So what is my energy, average energy, if you remember? Average energy is minus d ln z by d beta. So this is from yesterday, right? So what is ln z or ln q? Since I've used q here, I'll just use q. Remember, q and z are just the partition functions. Some books use convention z, some books use convention q. Okay, so I think for this I'll refer to some book which uses as a convention q, so that's why I've been writing q. So ln q is nothing but n ln v e omega cubed n. So now I need to take the differential of this with respect to beta. Okay, so if I substitute that, remember this omega cubed is a v is not a function of t, e is not a function of t, n is not a function of t, and v and n and t are independent. So the only thing that is a function of t is your omega, this triangle cubed. So if you substitute this, you will get, okay, you can solve this. Okay, so this is, what is this? This is nothing but the energy of a ideal gas, for a monatomic ideal gas, right? U is 3 by 2 nkt. So if you're studied in terms of moles, so that becomes 3 by 2 nRT. But this is nothing but the energy of, and for an ideal gas, since there are no interactions, this whole energy is nothing but the kinetic energy of the system. Now I can also calculate pressure, right? I know dF is minus SDT minus PdV. So how do I calculate pressure? Pressure is nothing but minus partial F by partial V at constant T. So I'll just look at my F. F was minus NKT ln VE cube N, correct? So I just have to differentiate with respect to V. Remember that. So this I can also write this as F is minus NKT. I'll just take ln V one side and then this ln E by omega cubed 3n times n this side. Okay. So I have to differentiate this with respect to V, and you will get minus partial F with respect to partial V at constant T. So this second equation is 0. So this becomes NKT. Ln V is V. Differential of ln V is V. So this is equal to P. So you have PV is NKT. Again, this is my ideal gas equation. Okay. So we have derived the ideal gas equation starting using from quantum mechanics. So that was our first starting point, and then we have arrived at this equation. Okay, so now before we end the class, before I also take questions, let's look at the partition function. How do I write a classical partition function? So what is the partition function? I know that z of, let's say, nvt in terms of in continuous variables, in terms of microstates. What are the possible microstates? I have gamma is made up of my position and momentum. So for a single particle, I can say this is z is nothing but dx, dy, dz, dpx, dpy, dpz. Okay, all these are part of integral, right? So since there are, for a single particle, how many different degrees of freedom are there? So there is 6. Okay, don't confuse this with the rotation, those kind of degrees of freedom. This I'm talking in terms of the phase space. How many variables are required to exactly specify the state? There are 6 variables, those are required, and these are the 6 variables. Now how do I calculate? So all these 6 variables, this dx, dy, dz, I'll use something called dr, which is nothing but dx times dy times dz. And again for this dpx, dpy, dpz, which is the momentum, I'll just say dp. Okay. Now, what am I missing? What else should come here? This is z of nvt. I should get the e to the power minus beta Hamiltonian of r comma p. Okay. Now, if the particles are indistinguishable, I'll have to divide this by n factorial. Okay, so this is in the classical limit. I'll write this. If I also want to take into effect the quantum mechanics aspect, this becomes so this triangle term will come. Okay, so these are the continuous partition functions, canonical partition functions, if you are writing in the phase space. And it's very important that you understand what I've written here, right? So what were we doing before? We were saying my z of t comma x is nothing but sum over all microstate e to the power minus beta Hamiltonian of that microstate. It's exactly the same thing we have done. Now instead of sigma, we have this integral which is in a continuous space, and since my microstates are position and momentum, these can go over r and p. That's the integral, and this is minus beta h r p. Okay, sorry, there is one. So this is just for one particle, so I don't have to. If it's for n particle, so only then I have to divide by n factorial. So this just becomes, you can imagine, there are n such I'll just write it down. So hold on. So this is just for one particle. You don't have to divide by n. So here what I'll do is I'll say 1, just one particle. Okay, so this is just for one particle, that's why I've written 1. This is in the classical limit, and this, if you want to also introduce the quantum mechanics aspect, you divide by omega, this triangle to the power 3n. Okay, and what is this? This is nothing but h square by 2 pi m kt. Okay, so this also has a significance. So if somebody asks what is the energy at room temperature, what is the fluctuation, so then you say it's order of kt. Okay, and if you look at this h square by 2 pi m, so that is nothing but from your, what is your de Broglie wavelength? Lambda is h by p, I think so, right? If somebody can quickly check. Right, so it's lambda in the quantum mechanics limit. So right, this is how it's given, right? So lambda is, if a particle of when, so this is the de Broglie wavelength, right? If some and this is only kind of when you look at, even if you have a big particle like in our case, what a big, even let's say a 1 kg particle, and if you solve this, the lambda becomes very, very small. So so you don't even have to kind of look at that. So now what is the energy? E is, can anybody help? What is the energy? So this basically is looking at your thermal energy to your de Broglie wavelength, the energy associated in the quantum state. So that's why you have this h square 2 pi m kt. Why this is important? Okay. Now just a last, if I have a n particle system in the classical limit, this remains the, now they have n particles, so this dr will have up to, for n particles, drn, dr1, dr2, the same thing, dp1, dp2 up to dp. This Hamiltonian remains same, but here instead of r and p, I have r power n, p power n. Now divided by, I have omega 3 power n. So in this case, the n is 1, so it will just be this. Okay. So this is in the classical limit. Okay, in the classical limit, I don't need this, but I need a n factorial. Whereas in the quantum mechanics limit, z of nvt would be integral dr1 up to drn. Then I have dp1, dp2 to dpn, e to the power minus beta Hamiltonian r power n, p power n divided by n factorial omega theta. Okay, so we'll stop here for today since it's 10:02, and we'll also revise some of this when we come tomorrow.